Welcome to BS session 30 on this wonderful January 27th evening. Usually we do something semi witty right at this point of the show. Uh, but instead, I wanted to let you all know that there's a few recent developments I feel are important enough to talk about instead. But we'll do that right after this.
But some of these bullets, as you saw, have an incendiary device on the tip of it, which is a heat-seeking device.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Welcome to your weekly dose of BS, the Holistically Speaking podcast.
All right. So it's just our friend Ben here and me tonight. Chris is playing punchy kicky things down in Florida, and I haven't heard from him, so I think he's still alive. Maybe a gator got him or something. I don't know. But like I was saying, a couple interesting developments with specific regard, I guess, to the CCFR. They've launched a new another website specifically for this fight against C21. So they've launched a new website, Scrap C. There's Chris there. You guys look marvelous. All right, so scrapc21.ca. So what they have going on there is it's about fighting this ridiculous bill. So it's got guides and links to help you with letter writing to your MP, your Minister of Public Safety, and of course that freaking incompetent loser that Ben, I'm guessing you probably didn't vote for.
No, that is a fact.
There's also a section on there to find your local MP. You just click on a drop box and enter your area, and it'll tell you who your MP is, so that you can send a letter to that person. Also, they're doing C21 posters. They're offering these posters to your gun clubs and your local gun stores, things like that. And I think Rod said that for the first 100 people, either stores or clubs that request these posters, they'll give them out for free. I'm not sure. He didn't specify what they're doing after that. Imagine there's a minimal fee or something. And there's also a link for another site they created called ccfrdownload.ca. And with that, it's a bunch of where is it here? ccfrdownload.ca. So it's a bunch of their explainer videos and information videos, social media placards, because the government's using Twitter and I don't know, I imagine other platforms to spread their misinformation and their propaganda and everything. So they've come up with a bunch of memes and these placards that you can respond to some of their posts with. Kind of handy little things for the petty goddamn fight that they started. It's an interesting way, I suppose, to fight stuff like this, but I guess such is life in this day and age. There's also research reports, and what I'm seeing here, intellectual malpractice. There's a full investigation. There's a paper on the full investigation of the Doctors for Protection from Guns. Absurd claims that the evidence supports gun bans in Canada. This report looks at the 17 studies they claim to support them. And then also a report on media bias. And surprisingly enough, CBC's in there. Who would have guessed? Really? Anyway, there's also sort of our usual great resources, firearmsrights.ca and gundebate.ca. Also, always get great resources for hopefully getting everybody in on this fight to save our legal property and use of such. So wanted to get that out there right away, right at the top of the show. So that I think that's where typically most people jump in before we lose a bunch of people, especially in the audio side of things. Okay, now that we're through that, we have our friend Ben Click with Sierra 64 Riflecraft. How are you, Ben?
Any better would be to me. You'd have to put up with both of us.
Good Lord.
No, life is good, man.
That's good. As though I didn't feel incompetent enough already and you had to come out with something like that. That's wow.
It's always a good day, man.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
No, we both just got back from shot.
Yeah.
You know, I flew back, you drove back. How was the drive?
It was great. Actually.
You lie well. I saw the pictures.
It's how should I explain this? I suppose it was a little unconventional. Maybe it's not exactly how most people would plan a long drive like that. We did stop about halfway. We stopped in Butte, Montana for the night. Good. But for some stupid reason down there, I mean, I'm typically a very early riser anyway, but I think it was fatigue, honestly, from that entire week at SHOT Show. And I have this tendency when I'm really tired, I'll wake up even earlier. So somewhere between ever since I think it was Thursday morning, I woke up at 2:30 and I just couldn't get back to sleep. So the same thing happened on Saturday morning. I woke up at, I believe it was 2:30 again, 2:30 or 3 o'clock. I can't remember which. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I was stirring. I had my stuff packed. Jens was still sleeping. Chris had already gone to the airport yesterday or the day before to go over to Florida. And so I was stirring about, and Jens finally woke up and he says, "What time is it?" So I told him, and he kind of looks at me. Fuck it. So we got on the road and it was good. You know, to me, that area of the country, there's a bunch of, you know, desert and that. And I really didn't miss much. I didn't think through driving through the dark. So, but you know, you get going through the north half of Utah and what was it, into Idaho and through to the southern half of Montana, and man, there's beautiful country down there, and you can just smell and feel the barometric freedom. You know, it had been.
I know.
Yeah, I have to say it was somewhat depressing coming back to Canada for sure. Yeah. So and then Sunday morning,
I was thinking of you guys. I flew back and thinking of you guys driving, man. Like, you got to be committed to what you're doing. I always say these men are committed, or should be.
Right,
it's hell of a long drive. Beautiful country, but a long drive.
Oh well, we started out from Butte Sunday morning. Again, we were on the road by 3 o'clock, and it was good for the most part. The roads were good. They take good care of those interstates, and the only crappy part was as soon as you get out of Butte and heading east initially and then north, but you're right into the mountains there, and beautiful, I'm sure, but we couldn't see anything. A couple interesting things happened. We were zipping around curves and that going down through the mountains, and came around one curve and on a little bit of a straightaway before the next curve. And there's he was probably about a 240-inch bull elk right on the side of the road. And we weren't any more than 6 feet from that bugger. And it was kind of,
Ooh,
and it was
yeah.
probably 70 miles an hour as we passed them. Everything was good. Go around
Yeah,
the
that'll be
curve, you know, you're looking ahead, and then get into the straight, and all of a sudden, holy shit, did you see that? And then after that, we hit a straight.
That's too close.
Yeah, we hit a straight in a valley, and so we were clipping along pretty good at 90 miles an hour plus, and I had to slalom through a herd of mule deer. Like there are 8 or 10 of them planted right on the road.
This is why I fly, man. This is why I fly.
It was good
absolutely.
though. I had
So how
good
was the
company.
show for you? I mean, you guys were busy.
Yeah, we were. You know, Jens has one of those step counters on his watch, and each of those days that we were there, we put on over 10 kilometers of walking. And on the Friday, when we lost the social butterfly, the 6'7" social butterfly, who talks to everybody, it seems like, which is good. I mean, he's great at talking to people.
Yeah, I understand.
Jens and I on Friday made over 18 kilometers in that show alone. It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I believe it, man. I know I did about 42K over the 4 days, and I was like you, I was stopping and talking a lot. I had 3 cops down there with me, and they did somewhere between 60 and 80K. It was their first time.
Is that right?
SHOT Show is hard to convey the scale.
Oh man.
You know, I brought 2 of the 3 people who were with me, like they'd never seen SHOT Show before. Sure. And there's that moment when you're walking past Restaurant Row and you turn a 90-degree right and it goes down a little ramp, right, and you can see across everybody's heads for a few seconds. And I scooted ahead there and I turned back and I looked at them as they came around. You could just see that moment of realization of how big this is. For those who haven't had the pleasure of SHOT Show, it's this year was 61,000 people visiting just over 2,600 booths. Wow. And over the 4 days, I figured it out. It's open for 131,000 seconds. And when you do the math, it's roughly 50 and a half seconds per booth. So you've got to do less than a minute per booth if you wanted to see everything. And it's just impossible. And
there's just no way.
You know, no, nor should you or could you. You know, there's a lot there that may not be applicable. I did my homework this time. I spent about 5 or 6 hours going through all the vendors and narrowed it down to 125 things I wanted to see.
There's my partial list.
Yeah. Mine was 125. I narrowed it down to 65, and I put them in priority, and I got to 41 of them.
Is that right?
You know that?
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's being very narrowed and very, very focused on what I wanted to accomplish. So
right.
But a fabulous show. It's good to be back. That's my first one since COVID.
Sure. Some really great people down there too. Hey, you know, I would. Part of me half expected. You know, that sort of stereotypical old gun shop owner that, you know, everybody thinks is a crusty old bastard, and he just really doesn't want to talk to anybody, but he won't close his shop. He does, you know, that stereotypical old gun shop owner, right? I sort of envisioned running into those people, because you're dealing with throngs of people, and not all of them are
thousands.
A lot of gawkers and tire kickers, right? Not that we were.
Yeah, no, the show's got a grip on that. You know, the tactical tourists were, you know, the show's certainly got a grip on that. And the people who are there are largely there to do business. And you're absolutely right. There's four big things I was after this year. And then some kind of small, cool stuff I stumbled across. But the number one thing there was absolutely the people. I mean, it's nice to bump into folks like you and, you know, my original coach, Keith Cunningham, and Linda Miller were there from Milcon in Ontario. Yeah, fabulous folks. But like there was Q&A sessions at Kestrel and at Horace, and they were bringing in people like Brian Litz, you know, who is Ballistic Jesus, Katie Godfrey from Kestrel was there. Amanda Wheeler from Applied Ballistics.
Sure.
Colby and Todd Hodnett were there again. And
Oh man.
they had these Q&A sessions. And like Emil Praslik and Brian did about a 15-20 minute presentation
Sure.
at the Applied Ballistics booth. And then they opened it up for Q&A.
Mm-hmm.
It was crickets. People weren't asking questions.
I couldn't believe that. We filmed that and then
You
put it
did?
up on
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah. So if you
Yeah.
guys want to see that video with Emil Proslik and Brian Litz talking, it's about a 36-minute video I think we put up.
Yeah.
You can find it on our YouTube channel. But yeah, I couldn't believe I was the only damn guy that asked the question.
I know. I was being polite because Brian and I had just done. I had a 40-minute one-on-one.
No kidding.
Over at the Kestrel booth, like the hour before. That's why I kind of held my questions, and I was
Sure.
going to talk to Emil privately afterwards, and we'll talk
Right.
about that offline.
You
But
bet.
it blew me away. Like the Kestrel did the Q&A with those people for the first 3 of the 4 days, and I went to the first 2 days, and I literally got one-on-one with like Win Jesus and Ballistic Jesus and Shooting Jesus. Like literally the best at what these people do in the world. And I had undivided free access. It was kind of neat because the first day I went and asked my own questions. The second day I put up on social media asking for questions from my students, and I got them. And I was able to walk, like literally 2 feet away from these guys and say, hey, Pete from Edmonton is asking a question about what happens to wind dots when you do sea drop. Brian, can you tell us when it's appropriate to do MV calibration where you modify your muzzle velocity, or can you tell us why and when it's appropriate to do it with modifying the BC?
All those 2 or answers, right?
Yeah. Like, this is not the kind of thing. And you're absolutely right about the quality of the people. Not only were they gracious to spend their time and answer, individual questions, but they were 100% sincere when they said, hey man, like, you got questions, just phone me up and we'll talk.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's your heart, hey?
So they gave me their card and if I've got a question about Kestrel, I know I can always call Katie because she's just awesome from Kestrel.
Right.
But if I get a win question, Emil's like, hey man, shoot me a question. Brian Litz, same deal. Like, you talk to Brian, you better bring a box lunch and a blanket because you're going to be tired, cold, and hungry when you're done, man. You can just see his face. Anybody who's passionate about what they do, you just see them light up, right?
Wow.
And they're just so happy to share.
All that stuff that just flows out of him, it just boggles my mind.
And they're all like that. They're not that grumpy old guy at the gun shop. They're truly they make their living at it. I get it, but they're making their living at it because they're passionate about it.
Can you imagine making a living doing that?
Yes. I did for 20 years, man. It was the best damn job in NATO. Being a military sniper was literally the best job I'll ever have. And even now teaching is, it's good to do things, but man, when that moment, when somebody's eyes light up that they've done stuff, and they'll just say like, man, if you told me I could have done that when we showed up here this morning, I never would have believed it. I'll be working with the military snipers, new guys, and I'll get them shooting wind dots on the Tremor 3 reticle. And it's like, it's like being a dealer. It's like the first one is free because once you get them on them wind dots, it's pretty hard to get them off, man. They're bracketing targets and just smacking steel faster than they can squeeze triggers. So it's exciting. And to be around people like that share their passion so freely is just, it's why we do this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're doing that kind of stuff, and I'm sitting back in a corner somewhere with my soother and eating box lunch and Scooby snacks. Just wow.
Dude, I could just sit there and they could read the phone book to me, and I'd be happy. So
I know. I wish I had have remembered that Todd Hodnett was there. I've read so many articles that he's put out over the years for years now, and I completely forgot that you mentioned he was there, and I should have hunted him down, but oh well.
And Colby too, as well. I mean, they're both fabulous, and Man, oh man, if you watch some of Todd's work on video, he's loving what he's doing, but he's kind of tough to follow at times. You kind of have to know what he's talking about before you watch the video. Excuse me. But in person, he slows right down.
Okay.
He's clear, and he makes sure you understand each point before you move on to the next. So it was difficult because there were times I was listening to him and I was caught up in what he's saying, but at the same time, I'm trying to take a step back and listen to how he's teaching it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And Colby is the same way. Colby's an excellent instructor. So it's fun,
right?
Even if you know what he's talking about, it's fun to watch him and see how he teaches it. So
yeah, you can see it in their eyes. Hey, they're just that stuff going constantly.
Exactly. So like any of your listeners, any of my students, the website's down here on my handle, sierra64.com. Shoot me a question on there and I can relay it to these dudes. If I can't answer it myself, I can certainly relay it to them and we'll get you straightened out and save you some time, money, ammo, and frustration.
Perfect. Sierra64.com. Okay, I'm just going to interrupt for a second, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like a good time to pay some bills here, I think.
Oh, absolutely.
So our sponsors, our feature sponsors tonight are Bolt Action Coffee and Call Sign 66. So for world-class specialty coffee from world-class Canadian Forces veterans, go to boltactioncoffee.com, order up some coffee for any occasion, and while you're there, check out their great line of apparel, mugs, stickers, and patches. Help support a great veterans organization as well as this show. So boltactioncoffee.com and Call Sign 66, whether you're just starting out in the precision shooting world, not the precision talking world, apparently, or you want to refine the skills you already have, or maybe you're looking for guidance to take your job to the next level. Train with Call Sign 66 for standard setting instruction and become part of the reason why Canadian precision riflemen are renowned worldwide for being some of the most proficient in their craft. Collaboration and contribution are vital to team success, as Ben well knows. Welcome to the Brotherhood. For upcoming training dates and to find out more about the Call Sign 66 team, go to callsign66.ca. And the rest of our amazing sponsors, EM Precision Rifles in Leduc, Alberta, building Canada's finest precision rifles. Commission a build with them today at emprifles.ca. Odell Engineering, pick up a Canuck shotgun or Bergera rifle from your local distributor and tell them Phil sent you. Look them up at Odell Engineering Limited. That's odellengineeringltd.com. Apex Optics. When you buy Apex, precision comes standard. Find them at apexoptics.co and grab yourself a Rival 4-32 rifle scope. Watch for new stuff coming out. They just announced, what was it, a 3 to 15 Hunter scope and a 1 to 8 LPVO. And they have, shameful, at least 2 different binoculars, one with a reticle in them.
That's true.
So look them up, apexoptics.co. Ribstone Gunsmithing is with us again this year. Craftsmanship done right. Contact Oscar at ribstonegunsmithing.ca and breathe life back into any firearm. And March Scopes Canada, the Dion Optical Design line of rifle scopes, has a scope for all your hunting and shooting needs. Find Doug and Niza at marchscopes.ca. And I just want to take this opportunity right now for a shout out to Hornady's Custom Shop. Jens and I ordered a couple of sets of custom dies for a Wildcat that Jens developed, and we got the match version of their dies, and we received them without the micrometer seating stem. Mm-hmm. And so I talked to oh man, what's his name? I can't remember his name now. The fella at the Hornady booth, anyways. And he said, "Yeah, no problem. If they were the match grade dies, they should have micrometer seating tops." So I emailed him that night, and just the other day, he sent me an email. Got it taken care of. Here's your shipping notice. Away you go. Thank you very much for your business. Just
the way it should be, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
Service.
Yeah. And it was It was no fuss, no muss. They want happy customers. And it was really good.
Yeah, they back their products. So yeah, you got a good lineup of sponsors there, man. You got some excellent companies.
Oh, you damn right, man.
Yeah.
It's, we've been very fortunate, I think. Yeah. And some new stuff coming up soon this year. We've got a lot of work to do. We had the chance to meet face to face with most of our sponsors down at SHOT Show. It just worked out that way, and everybody seems happy with what we're doing. There was some comments about facial hair and stuff like that maybe I should trim up, but we'll see. It's a work in progress, right? Always.
I thought having a beard would be less work than shaving, but it's not, man. You're always playing with something, and I got a pretty straightforward beard. I don't have the ZZ top that you and yours have got going on, but
right,
no,
it's just to hide the 3 chins that I got going now that I'm, our age.
It improves the grip on the stock, right?
Well, for me, this is about 3 to 4 miles an hour. This is about 10.
Yep, that's right. Absolutely. When it pushes me backwards, I know it's exactly 12 miles an hour.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it's true. It's in my notes, man, like how it feels and stuff. Absolutely. Right. My human anemometer.
Okay, we have some corrections here for the LPVO that Apex put out. It's a 1 to 10, not a 1 to 8.
Okay.
And they're calling it the Edge. Rooster's trying to hide all the wrinkles. You just calm down there, Jonathan. All right. Well, before we get too much further talking about this, do you want to talk a little bit more about CR64 at this point?
Sure. I always start the same way. I say, my name is Ben, and I'm a lifelong serious student of the rifle. It has been 22 days since I fired my last live round, but I dry fired this morning, and it was awesome. So CR64 Riflecraft is the whole name. CR64 is just a way for myself and my instructors to help fast forward people over that, especially that initial period of that tough learning curve, where it takes 10 times the amount of time, money, ammo, and frustration to even move forward a bit. So what we do is we can fast forward people forward over that. We're split probably about 30% military and police, 70% civilian shooters, centered at the Chaz Range at Genesee, west of Edmonton. And what we provide is custom training. We literally tailor whatever people it is that want to do, whatever their training goals and needs are. We custom fit it to the individual or the group. For example, on Monday, I got one dedicated shooter who wants to go out and shoot carbine in the cold. So that's what we're doing Monday morning. Last fall, I was teaching on the Army Basic Sniper course, teaching mental management, which is one of our areas of passion.
That's we'll get into that a little bit in a little bit, but that's a big part of your game, isn't it?
100%. Shooting is 10% physical and technical.
Yeah,
just 10%. The other 90% is mental.
Yeah.
So I always say I found a job where I lay down and lower my heart rate. It's my kind of sport. We can certainly teach people to press triggers, but the majority of ours is shooting based or shooting centered performance psychology.
Right.
Yeah, you bet. So,
good.
And we believe in a collaborative business model. You mentioned 6'6" there. Miles and his crew are excellent people.
Yes.
If it is gear you're looking for in rifles, it's funny you're talking about your sponsors, and I've got Black Rifle Coffee suppressed, the decaf one.
Okay.
In my EM Precision mug here. So we're a collaborative business model. I don't depend on this for my mortgage, and I believe that a rising tide lifts all boats. So the more people we can get talking about, thinking about, enjoying shooting, the better off we all are. So I always say, if I can't answer your question, or if I'm not the trainer you need, I will help you find somebody who does.
Well, that's just the thing, isn't it? We know enough people that we've got a pretty deep bench.
Yeah.
Don't we? Yeah,
we do,
for sure.
Wasn't always that way, man. We're in the golden age of bolt guns for Canada.
Yes, sir.
But I always say I don't care that you train with us as much as I care that you do train.
Right. Yep.
And like say, if we're not what you need, we'll certainly hook you up with somebody who is. So,
Excellent.
Because it's a lifelong habit, man. I mean, I say I'll spend the rest of my life trying to get good at this.
Well, for those fortunate enough to get hooked, I mean, that's kind of a double-edged sword, though, really, isn't it?
That's why we
There's
do
a
it.
lot of people that that get into it and find that they don't have the time, or they worry that they can't afford it, or whatever the case, and they end up dropping it. Well, as far as I'm concerned, they just didn't have the chance to let that hook set.
Yeah.
Because well, you talk to Jens, he'll remind me every so often that it's all my fault that he spent all this money over the years now getting him into this wicked game.
Yeah. Sometimes you're a coach, sometimes you're an enabler.
That's right.
But you know what?
Thank you.
Life is short. Go shooting,
That's
man.
Right. There are a ton of things worse that you could do, right?
Absolutely.
And a ton of people worse than who we know that you could potentially hook up with.
Yeah, and there's so many good things to do in life. And like SHOT Show was a great example of the type of people, the quality of people. Like I say, there were 61,000 attendees, 2,600 vendors. I believe there was one item stolen at the show.
Is that right?
I actually went there 2.5 days early while they were doing setup, and I was wandering around the booths.
Right.
Like
Is
total
that
trust.
Right? Yeah.
You know, when I left, there was FN had like a Costco trolley, you know, like the flatbed ones, literally full of machine guns. Just
No
lying there.
kidding.
And not a problem.
No,
you know,
kidding.
it's just that quality of people. You know, it's just the way it is.
Yeah, well, and that's I saw that throughout the show. It's you know, good spirits, willing to talk to you. We didn't run into a single person that was like sort of exasperated that didn't want to talk to one more person right down to the end. I mean, Jens and I were there till 3 or 3:30 in the afternoon, and still people wanted to talk to us, and all of them acknowledged on Friday that and it's been a long show, but like we even got interviews from, I think we got 7 interviews that day from different vendors, and all of them were like, yeah, let's do this.
I think you ran into him too, but in the second evening we were standing in the casino. I think we were talking to Rob Furlong, and Chuck Liddell wanders up to us and spent half an hour hanging out with us and gave my son a bottle of whiskey.
Kidding.
He loves us all. I know this because he told us several times.
Right.
You know, just a totally random encounter, but you know, guy could crush my head, but he just the gentlest of spirits and just as happy as hell to be there.
Right.
You know, huge LEO military supporter, pro gun dude. And that's just kind of the random stuff that happens.
Okay, we've got Jonathan Bergen's asking, do you guys, assuming Sierra 64 Riflecraft, teach movers classes and basics to long range shooting?
We intend to be teaching movers probably next year. I work out of the Canadian Historical Arms Society, and right now we're developing 2 more ranges.
Okay.
And one of them, the intent is to include movers. And I'm sorry, could you read the second half of the question there again? Sorry.
From basics to long range shooting. Yeah.
Mastery. We are precision. We're primarily precision rifle centered.
Yeah.
We do teach some of our students carbine and pistol on the civilian side, but we know that mastery is simply the fundamentals learn deeper. Like we say, it's not just what you know, but how well we know it. You know, like I rolled jiu-jitsu for quite a few years, and I'm not a black belt yet, but literally the first throw they would teach you after you got your black belt was ogoshi, which is literally the first throw they teach you on your first day as a white belt. And the point is that we're learning the same things to a much deeper level. And we know that fundamentals win firefights. So we focus on fundamentals, especially getting you doing the right things right off the bat. Training is done with an instructor and a plan and a certain number of things we want to accomplish, but really all you're learning is training, is what and how to practice.
Okay.
We teach you what good looks and feels like, and then we teach you how to go away and practice it, because we've all been to classes or symposiums or conferences where it's like, oh yeah, this is awesome, at the end of the day. And then 2 weeks later, it's like, what the hell? And we go back to what we were doing before. So the long answer to a short question, the short answer is that, we focus absolutely on fundamentals. And if you need movers this year, we can certainly hook you up with Rob Furlong out of RFMA, Rob Furlong Marksmanship Academy, and they've got a fabulous movers course. I intend to take it myself this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would
but
be
thank
great.
Thanks for your question. Good question.
Jonathan follows up with a question about wanting to learn movers to shoot coyotes. Mm-hmm. And he says he's looking at coyotes around 650 to 1900 yards.
That's
and no
way.
Sneaking up on them because it's wide open field. Like there's a couple of things about this. I suppose in my experience, there's no better mover teacher than calling coyotes, because they come up on you hot and fast. Like if you hook them, they come up on you hot and fast, and they rarely stand still.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I honed some pretty good skills years ago, well before domestication, when I used to hunt coyotes like crazy, and they're always moving, and it was incredible practice. Now the 650 to 1900 yards things, that's a bit of a different game.
Mm-hmm. That's a long way. Yeah,
you
try bad guys or even
a mover too. Yeah.
Say that again. Bad guys, they move even more, but coyotes are probably a really good way to practice. But because they're a randomly moving thing, it's very difficult to learn on. Mm-hmm. So with movers, it's good to have. I mean, there's various different technologies of moving targets, but the idea is that we can have controlled, planned conditions to learn under, ideal conditions to learn under, and then tough conditions to practice under. Right. So yeah, I mean, coyotes and groundhogs and anything that moves is a lot of fun, especially when it's reactive. Mm-hmm. But ideally, you want to be learning on something that's controllable.
Right. Yeah. You bet. He follows that up again with he had a 25 Creedmoor built by Ian Precision, and he claims he doesn't have the skill to shoot to its full performance. Well, there's only one way to fix that, Jonathan.
Dude, we should always have guns better than we shoot. I always want to be the weak link in my system. But yeah, we can certainly help you squeeze everything you got out of it. Right. And they're great guns.
Yep, absolutely. I'm getting another one built by them, whether I need it or not.
Yeah,
Nathan Durrell.
Yeah.
Say that again, Ben.
Need and want are two different things. And both are valid. Both are valid.
That's right. Nathan Durrell says, "What's the youngest you would begin training someone to shoot? My oldest son will be 14 and wants to learn. Awesome. Unfortunately, I don't know enough to teach," he says.
Well, Nathan, first of all, you might be surprised at how much you actually do know. If you had to stand there and actually teach somebody, well, when I typically bring snipers out from the battalions to teach on the large courses. I teach weekday courses that are usually 1 to 4 people myself. And then about once a month, we have weekend courses where people who can't make it on the weekday come out. And we have up to 12 people. And I drag some snipers out from one of the local battalions. And I get these young studs out there, and they're like, "Hey, man, I've never really taught civilians. I don't know if I can really teach. I don't have much to teach. I've only been doing this job a year." I'm like, "Yeah, don't worry about it, dude." And they come at the end of the day with this glow on their face, like, "Man, I can't believe that was." I started talking, and I just couldn't stop. So you might be surprised, Nathan, how much you do know. However,
that's right.
A prophet has no honor in his own country, and as much as I love family, it's less than ideal to teach your own family difficult skill. And shooting taught well will challenge your son. So you want it to be somebody who's not got the more important role of being a dad to do it. And I absolutely love teaching young people for a bunch of reasons. And the short answer is you know your kid best. 14 is not a problem generally. 12, I have a conversation with the parent, and they know the kid better than I do. Mm-hmm. And well, let's put it this way. In 1997, my sniper partner and I, Tim Turner, we won the first Canadian International Sniper Competition in Gagetown. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, I went to Connaught in Ottawa, and I got my ass handed to me by a fat 14-year-old girl shooting Palmer rifle. So there is nothing like, I'm told that shooting a rifle mentally and physically is about as difficult as playing a musical instrument. And we started that at about grade 5 or grade 6. So 12 years old, 11, 12 years old.
Sure.
Younger than that, I encourage you to get a Nerf gun and teach them the safe handling habits. At one point, I think my kid was about 6 or all my kids around 5 or 6 or 7. We tape a dime store laser to a Nerf gun, and they'd learn muzzle control and learn not to laser people.
Nathan does kind of qualify, I guess. He's or quantify. He says he and his son have been hunting for a few years. So
perfect.
I think he's got the basics. Now it's just taking it to that next step. I think there's some good tools set already. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. So 12 is definitely doable. At 14, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. 14-year-olds can definitely be competent riflemen for sure.
Right. Well, there's a fella here. I don't know if I'm saying it right or not. Taif, Night Wolf. I want to get back shooting again, but I'm in Toronto.
Perfect.
Well, you know what? There are paths out of that city. Thank goodness. And there are some clubs. I don't know. You must know some ranges in that general area, do you, Ben? I really don't.
Yeah, I know that. Well, the only one that I've shot at, other than Connaught, which is open to military, it's primarily military, but also civilians shoot there. There's one in just west, not in Canada, near Canada, but I am deeply envious because this person lives within about 2.5 hours of my original coach and mentor, which is Keith Cunningham, I mentioned before.
That's right.
And him and Linda Miller have probably contributed more to marksmanship in Canada right now than anybody else still alive. And they're about 2.5 hours from Toronto. So if you look up Milcun, milcun.ca, or just search the word Milcun or search Keith Cunningham, absolutely drive up there, take the training. You will not find better training in Canada.
And there's a couple of great books come out of that union too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Funny story. Mental marksmanship. There's about 8 copies here. Are required reading for my moderate to advanced students, and the required reading for all my military students.
Right.
You want to spend the best money you can on shooting. Keith and Linda's book, primarily Keith, I think, wrote it, called Secrets of Mental Marksmanship, and worth every penny. It's kind of a neat book because it takes the mental marksmanship ideas and it teaches it point by point, and then it tells 4 stories for each point. Tells one hunting, one military, one police, and one competition to illustrate each point, and it's absolutely fabulous. So 100%, get yourself a copy of The Secrets of Mental Marksmanship, and you'll come out a better shooter.
Mm-hmm. Rob Longridge is trying to help here. Outlaw precision matches are hosted near the Greater Toronto area, so a guy could look that up. And I'm sure, just like with any of these matches around the country, even if you don't have a rifle, there are more than enough people that are willing to let you have some time on theirs.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, like don't feel you have. Matter of fact, when people get into it, I say, for God's sakes, don't buy a rifle. Because we all know that the first rifle we bought is not the one that we wound up with. Yeah. So I'd prefer that people come out on the courses. You can rent one from us, and if you want to go off and shoot some competitions, we'll make arrangement for that as well. Go and I mean, in this community, people will loan you stuff.
Sure, they will.
Center.
Absolutely.
We just want you to come out and shoot. Yeah, so come on out, shoot. It is a strong person that will come outside their comfort zone and go out to something and suck for the first time. and that's why we do this, is because we struggle and we suck, and then we work harder, we work smarter, we work longer, and we get better at it.
That's
and
right.
then we understand how, I say it's the circle of ignorance. Every time I bump up against a new idea, I expand my circle of ignorance, because I understand that I don't understand this new thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I didn't know that. It's like, oh my God, I didn't know that. And
Yeah.
the shooting community is very open to that. It is such a humbling discipline.
It is, yeah.
That everybody is more than happy to have you come out. And, it's so true for competition. I've been in competitions where there's like 250 people on the mound. You know how many people gave a damn about how well I did?
Right.
Me. Maybe my
Yes.
coach.
That's right.
No one else on that competition really gives a shit about how well you're doing. It's all self-imposed pressure. So get out and shoot, folks. Get out and practice. Get out and compete, because it is a whole lot of fun, and you'll come back a better shooter and a happier person for it.
For sure. To switch gears just a little bit, David Walcott's asking, how's the gun situation in Canada now? Are they stopping, or is it in limbo? Well, I'm going to assume David's American. And is it stopping? Hell no. Is it in limbo? I wouldn't call it that, no. The trouble is, times like these right now, where you don't hear a whole lot about it, it makes a fella nervous, because what are those sons of bitches brewing up in the back rooms? They're just that sneaky, snarly dog hiding behind the goddamn gate, right?
No, I've got a question for David, though. How do you feel about adopting middle-aged men?
Right.
If he's down in the States, I'm like,
yeah. Funny, not funny.
Funny because it's true.
That's right.
Yeah.
There was something else I wanted to get into there. Oh, I guess, again, I want to remind folks about the new initiative by the CCFR, scrapc21.ca, to get back into this fight, or increase this fight with the government. Letter writing campaign, calling campaign, whatever. Just get involved, get your local clubs involved, your friends and family, if you can. We need all the help we can get to fight this stupidity. So,
yeah. On that note, I just got it today, so I haven't really had a good look at it. But a very close friend of mine sent me an Ipsos Reid poll. And Ipsos Reid poll are like the real deal. It's not some internet survey to find out what kind of fish you'd be. It's it's the actual data that the government relies on to guide their political wishes. Right. And it's been told to me by a poli-sci professor before that each roughly in the ballpark of one response on an Ipsos Reid poll is roughly equivalent to what 20 to 25,000 people feel. That's how they kind of gauge it, in that ballpark. Okay. So I'll shoot you if you like, I'll shoot you the link. Again, you can drop me an email at thesierra64.com. There's a contact page, and I'll send you this link. I apologize, I haven't had time to really look at it, but I can send you this link, and you can give the government your opinion, representing what's pretty good small cities worth of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I hope that holds true. I don't hold a lot of faith in polls.
No, I don't.
Generally speaking, because they never really seem, well, I mean, they can only be so accurate, right?
And again, it can be ignored by anybody, but like,
sure,
this is actually the one that matters. Mm-hmm. Like, these are we do these electronic petitions and stuff, but they're ignored at all the highest levels. But this is actually the company that the government goes out and spends our money to find out what we're thinking. Yeah. So this is kind of the real deal. I'm certainly going to act on it. But.
Well, we're never completely out of hope.
No.
There's always a chance, and you can't lose sight of that. That's when they beat you, right? When you give up.
Yeah, I'll make this as awkward as I can.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
you're gonna pay, you sons of bitches.
Yeah, I always figured if I'm going to turn my firearms in, it's going to be clothing optional, just to make it difficult.
That might be the best way.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, you want to get back to some of the SHOT Show stuff, all the folks you did see down there. We talked with quite a few good people, and of course our focus was generally to get some interesting content for the show, get some good interviews and stuff like that. Not necessarily to get around to see as much as we possibly could.
Yeah. No, you have to be focused.
Yeah. So I don't know. We like MK Machining. We've had Tyler from MK Machining on before, and he does a lot of 3D printing, including metals.
Crazy, eh?
It's I've got some pictures that I need to get up on our Instagram and Facebook pages, and we're gonna have him back on the show at some point soon. He's done a whole lot of development on a whole lot of new things since we had him on the show last. He's a really talented guy as far as I can tell. Anyways, he's got that crazy bullpup chassis, that trigger on that. Did you stop by his booth?
I started shooting bullpups early 90s when it was like the FAMAS and the Steyr AUG, and they were at the time, they're both horrible, and it kind of soured me. Yeah. But I am, again, bumping against my circle of ignorance. I'm learning what I don't know, and the quality of triggers that's coming out on some of these bullpup stocks, whether it's a DS Arms or that MK Machining one or a vast number of others that I haven't played with. The technology of how they're accomplishing the connector bar is black freaking magic, because they're quality triggers.
It's great, hey?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that it feels like it does in that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely true. It's everything, man. Like I took my basic sniper course in '89, and if you could shoot them in an angle,
right,
people would stop and come over and watch you shoot.
Right.
6 power scopes where the crosshair would move inside the optic as you adjusted. Ammo that you could shake and the bullet might fall out, and no bipods, shooting off slings and rocks, and everything we have is so fabulous now, and it's because of companies like MK Machining that just continue to push stuff forward. It's never been better.
I shit so much on millennials, and in a general manner, but man, some of those young guys in their 30s and that are coming up with some amazing things.
Dude, like I hear this all the time, and yet the young cops I'm working with, the guys who are on basic sniper and the guys who are in the platoon, they're just some stunningly smart and motivated and just good hearts. I don't despair for the younger generation. There's some fabulous freaking people taking over, man. We're in good hands. There's lots of good folks, and they're running companies. They're doing podcasts. They're say it's never been better to do this stuff.
Yeah, I guess I better watch my mouth, because I'm going to be absolutely intolerable in 15 years or so.
You're going to be that old guy at the gun store, right?
Yeah, that's
You're going to be that guy at the gun store we started bitching about at the beginning of the show.
Me.
No. Yeah. No, man.
Another really interesting thing that I saw, we stopped by the Accutac bipods booth. And I mean, I really enjoy their bipods anyways. I've got the I've got the HD 50 under my 33XC, and that thing is a solid bipod. So, well, what he's done now is they've added basically a hydraulic cylinder on the centerpiece of that HD 50, and added ski feet on the end.
Yep.
So there's a small diameter hose running from this cylinder back to a dial, and he said he might change it up, think of some mounting options for your rifle and everything else. And it's fine adjustment. And he said the reason he came up with this was the ELR stuff, where guys are pushing out to is it 6,000 meters or 6 miles? Some of
I was talking about, like, there's stuff out around about 7,000 yards.
Okay.
And there's a whole bunch of factors. Brian's got a great podcast about target size relative to group size and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, 1,000 yards used to be a long way.
Sure. Well, it still
It's
is.
just not. It's
honestly.
man, like the quality of stuff that's out there. 1,000 yards is 100. That's only 918 meters or 910 meters. It's completely achievable.
Right.
With an average gun that's off the rail. Like I had a custom gun made in the early 90s, and I also have my son's. I think we got it on special, like a cop and military special, $550, a Savage 10T, and they both shoot about the same. Like right off the rack. We had EM Precision polish up the chamber. We put a decent muzzle brake on it, and that thing is it's a solid gun. Mm-hmm. And I mean, when I say 3/4 minute angle gun, I mean that you can fire 5-round groups, and they're all going to average. They'll be from 1 minute angle down to 0.5, but they'll average out. Not the occasional Instagram group that I put a quarter beside, so you know how big it is. Right. Covering that one flyer, but no, like
I was gonna say,
like a no shit conservative 3/4 minute angle gun for I think you can get them around $700-800 now. I don't know, but and like bipods, the ski feed are a huge deal. We experimented with air triggers and air elevation a number of years ago with limited success. But yeah, it's there's all these people doing a million different things, and then we find out what works.
Just skipping back to that bipod, Chris Hoyan says he saw that hydraulic bipod looked really good and looked cool, and the price wasn't bad at all. Actually, the price on that setup, we were told the MSRP, at least anyways, was $750 US.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
which for an ELR bipod is not bad. The E means extreme, which means extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a French word for you've got to hate money to do ELR.
Or you're divorced.
Yeah. I've fallen somewhat down the rabbit hole, but I can only achieve it because of support of friends and businesses like EM Precision and stuff. But honestly, it's fascinating stuff, but there's guys rocking up to the line with between $30,000 and $100,000 worth of gear.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. But it's like ELR. I always think of it as it's like launching the shuttle. You have to have everything just right, including the weather. And if one thing is not correct, it's just not a launch day. You're just not going to achieve it. It takes everything in your favor to shoot to that distance, and it's not addicting at all.
Yeah. Right. You'll have to forgive me. Miles with call sign 66 just texted me a picture because I wasn't smart enough to take one myself while I was there, and it's just going to take too much time to transfer it to my laptop. And back, but there is that bipod.
That's fabulous. Thanks, Miles.
Yeah, you can see that hydraulic cylinder right in the middle of the body of the bipod. And
that's
then, of course,
crazy,
the ski feet on the ends. Yeah, it's a beautiful setup, honestly.
That's awesome. And I didn't look specifically because I was trying to narrow my view. Yeah, thanks, Miles, first of all, for sending that in.
You bet.
But
thanks for saving my ass.
What's that? Sorry?
Thanks for saving my ass.
Yeah, thanks, Miles. As usual. He's a good solid dude, man. He's going to back you up. The bipod extensions that move the bipod up to or even past the muzzle. I don't know. Sometimes I've got to challenge my own thinking again and remember that I don't know what I don't know. I tried one out late last fall, and I'm like, damn. By putting that center of the lever that far forward, the weight on the butt increases quite a bit, and the gun just tracks so much straighter. And that was just a farmer welded one, a buddy made of his own.
Right.
Without worrying about weight constraints or anything. Absolutely, man. I mean, it takes all these things to do that kind of stuff, but it damn well works.
Yeah. Jens and I did the same thing with our rifles. We just fabbed our own.
Yep.
Bought some pick rail and some ARCA adapters and just 1-inch square tubing and got it out there. And man, I'm telling you, what a difference it makes. Now, I had a conversation with another fella that was there at King of 2 Miles that I know quite well. He was listening to Chase Shroud on a podcast, and Chase was claiming that the bipod extender actually reduces recoil. And he asked me what this young fellow asked me what I thought, and I said, well, to my mind, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense other than the addition of some weight. Just to have that bipod in a different location, to me, wouldn't change the it would not reduce the recoil, at least enough to notice, I don't think. Maybe it might reduce somehow the felt effect of recoil, but not,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I have an idea, but I've got a student who's a serious astrophysicist. I'll run it by him before I say anything, but I think I know where Chase is going with that, but I'll figure it out first.
I don't know. It just anything that computed in my mind brain just didn't come up with anything substantial, at least. Anyway,
yeah,
I figured a little bit possibly.
Yeah, I'll think about it. Good thing to look into, for sure.
Going back a little bit, Mike Hynek threw a question out at us that's not going to be an easy one to answer at all. He says, question 1, best new product you saw at SHOT Show? And question 2, what product did you see that makes you question why it exists? That's tough.
Man, there's so many big things and so many little things. Yeah. We could talk about the grenade dropping drone, or the one that, like seriously, yeah. Like I was
There's some big drones there, Matt. Like
dude, there's some small drones there, and that's what I was looking for. I was asked by an organization to look into these small drones, not the kind where the military would have a dedicated operator, but one that the individual soldier would be able to operate and support what he's actually doing. Okay. And it's 100% achievable that you can drop hand grenades like Ukrainians. Or place shaped charges smaller than the top of this coffee cup that can penetrate the hatches of a fighting vehicle for less than you and I would pay for a scope. The technology. Like, I'll be honest, I am glad I'm not out there doing the job for real anymore. The lethality of the battlefield is just off the chain. It's just ridiculous. One of the trends I saw. I'll talk about the best trend. There's some, and I can talk about some little gadgets I found that were kind of cool. But the biggest trend I saw is with optics, where the systems are unifying. They're coming together, and there's a synergy to use them together. I saw a military grade spotting scope that overlaid thermal, had an internal laser rangefinder, and while you're looking through the scope, anything that comes over the radio is displayed as a text.
Oh, good.
So you don't even have to be listening. It actually shows you. And in a high noise environment, like around armored vehicles, or if you're in your sniper team set up in a like say a factory or any high noise environment where you can't hear your spotter or other information coming over the net, this thing shows it right there in front of you in text. Simultaneously, it can also hook up to whatever communications, and that real-time data and imagery can be squirted back to whoever needs to see it. Laser.
I can think of a few Canadians that need that.
Yeah, like it's just insane. Like most of the night, like there was a real proliferation of night vision thermal equipment.
Sure.
I think I started with 125, knocked it down to 65 vendors, saw 41. I think about 25% of that was night vision and thermal. Okay. And everything from a company called Angry Stag that is marketing a very basic standalone or clip-on night vision, thermal scope in around the $800 American mark.
Really?
So it's the everyman's thermal.
Holy smokes! No kidding.
Angry Stag. Yeah. Wow. Now it's a small screen. It's not super high. Not a lot of pixels on there, but you could certainly say, "Hey, that's a hog bang." Or that's a coyote bang.
Well, there's no free lunch, right? You pay that sort of price.
Yeah.
There are some,
but they're deliberately marketing it so that everybody can get it. They have models up into the mid 1600. And I must have seen more companies that had time to stop that I'd stopped to look at that had night vision and thermal, including internal laser rangefinders, up and around the $2,000 American mark,
Right.
which is comparable to a decent day optic, low end of a decent day optic. The thermal, having the night vision, or sorry, the fusion sights is nice, but with thermal, one of the problems I found is you can't always, because you're looking at a screen, you can't understand how far away the target is. So they're now incorporating laser rangefinders, some with day and night optics, some with ballistic solvers inside them, like the SIG, sort of like the SIG BDX has been for a couple of years.
Okay.
But in night vision as well.
Right?
You know, you probably saw the HoloSun Pro and regular thermal red dots.
Yeah.
Those are around the 2000 one. Exactly. And they're night vision ones. They're SPAR. There's, gosh, like I say, there must have been half a dozen companies that had optics pulsar right in around the $2,000 mark. You know, like, will everybody buy a $2,000 scope to go shoot hogs? No, some will. And those who can't, you're looking at companies like Angry Stag that can get you in for under 1,000.
Right.
And you can, you know, you're shooting thermal. You know, there's the cost and the proliferation and the fusion of all these systems coming together is the integration is just off the chain. It's fabulous to see.
Often makes you wonder what the next step is. Hey, where they're going to take some of this technology. It's just
I can't wait to
think
see
where it would go.
I can't wait to see, man.
It's crazy. And here I am thinking, and that wasn't anywhere close to the focus of our little group. You know, we try and stick closely with relevant Canadian, you know, close to the, at least close to the every man attainable products, right?
The exotic becomes routine. When I started sniping, only snipers had externally adjustable, and target shooters had externally adjustable turrets. Now, for a reasonable amount of money, you can get analog night vision. And for even less money, you can get some pretty decent digital night vision.
No kidding.
That is absolutely achievable. You know, you know, scopes that can adjust down to 0.1 mil or 1/8 minute of angle. You know, that was exotic. Now it's commonplace.
This is very true, Ben.
Yeah. Like if you'd told me years ago that every bow hunter would own a laser rangefinder. I mean, those things were the size of a mailbox and cost more than my car. You know, now they're damn near throwaway. You know, an IR strobe was like black freaking magic, and you had to sign something from the Queen to carry it. Yeah. Now these things are disposable. So all these exotic things, you know, like I don't do bench rest. I really don't care if it's a 0.5 or 0.4 or 0.1 minute angle. I really don't. Right. Anything under 0.75 is redundant. But those people who are out there shooting that, we all benefit from it.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
Yeah, it may not be like everybody's going to have one, but it's going to lead to something that everybody may use. So I cannot wait to see where it takes us next. So,
crazy.
Yeah, it absolutely is.
And here I'm thinking, you know, Schmidt and Bender's going to come out with a 10 to 60 scope with new turrets, multi-turn turrets, and new reticles. And I was thinking, man, that is really the shit.
Oh man,
that's my narrow focus of things, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like it, and you know, like I have a 7 to 35 Leupold Mark V. Right. Does everybody need a 35 power scope? No. Right. But for what we're doing, that's a very specialized tool. And it does that job very, very well.
Yep.
So you know, it
sure does.
And who doesn't like gear? You know, I talk about mental management and stuff, but I'm as big a gear whore as anybody else underneath. So yeah, it's just, it makes for the recreational user, it makes the experience much more enjoyable. For the operational shooter, a lot of this stuff, it lightens the cognitive load so that they can concentrate on important stuff like not getting shot. You know, like
I can imagine
the basic things that this Kestrel does used to be done on a 3-page pencil and paper worksheet.
Sure.
And we could do it, but it took a bit of time and effort, and the skill could fade. These things do it for us automatically now. We don't question it.
Yeah.
Things like laser rangefinders that automatically bring your bullet drop dot onto your reticle.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. It's one less thing I have to think about.
Yeah.
And
there's so much of this stuff now designed to get that to increase that distance between the shooter and the target.
Yeah.
In whatever multitude of ways you need to look at that.
Yeah.
Right. So some ways that's very important. Some ways that's just very neat.
Yeah.
Right.
And to answer the second part of that question is what do we shake our head at? When I was 10, my dad took me into a fishing store and showed me that big wall of shiny fishing lures. And he said, some of those are for catching fish. Some are for catching fishermen. So an item that may be absolutely useless to me may be super important to a bench rest or an F-class shooter.
Yeah.
That's
right.
So it's difficult to say. Some may be so niche that I don't understand what they're for. But at SHOT Show, you got to be pretty serious about what you're doing. The booths start at $22,000 US.
Yeah, isn't that something?
So one of the coolest things I saw, and I hope it works out as well as they're advertised, this is called a recoil ring. And if you just search recoil ring, it's something I'm very interested in. If you took a tuning fork, bing, it vibrates, there's lots of energy. If you take a rubber band, put it around the tuning fork, all that energy goes in the rubber band. This is a ring that's worn on the large finger of the control hand, not the support hand, but it's got a rubber ring around the outside of the nickel ring. And I put it on the barrel of my rifle the other day, and I struck it, and the barrel went dead. It went. Voop. I think this thing sucks up recoil. That's what they're marketing it as. So shooting heavy rifles a lot. Like I think one day with a 50, we put out way more rounds than we should have. I think we were over about 80 rounds, and some guys were over 120 rounds a day with 50. That's not healthy.
Wow.
Your hands hurt. And now that I've got arthritis in my hands, shooting 40 cal pistol hurts. So I'm going to give this thing a try, recoil ring, and I'll see if it does what it's intended to do. So that was kind of the wackiest thing I saw, but I think it's probably valid. I'll let you know after I've shot some more with it.
One of the this is going to sound really silly and maybe a little bit shallow, but one of the greatest things I saw there was there was a shirt company there, and they made these Hawaiian type shirts.
Oh my God! Yes, those are awesome.
with whatever guns you wanted on them or whatever.
100%.
Oh, I thought Jens and I got a giggle out of that, boy. I think I'm going to order a couple.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just for the balls for bringing that out. No, it's awesome.
Yeah. Tandem Cross. They're putting out 1022 trigger packs. It's completely redesigned, and what a wild trigger, and all the functions of the typical 1022 trigger pack. The traditional functions on those original trigger packs are kind of clunky, and they've solved the mag release. It's got a push pull type mag release on it, and the bolt release is it's more of a knob kind of thing, and I think it's a push pull too. I just can't remember now, but really neat and really nice trigger. Nice break on it and everything else. Again, we put that video out on YouTube. You can look that up. Tandem Cross.
Tandem Cross. Okay.
Had a nice little interview with those guys.
Okay.
Pretty good stuff. Yeah. What else did we get to? MDT's come out with some cool stuff. There was that electronic trigger that you can barely perceive as having pulled when it does trip.
Yeah.
It's a pretty neat setup for sure.
I'd be interested. There was a rifle years ago, and I'll mispronounce this badly because it's Finnish, but I think it's called the Leutic space rifle, and it looks like a
Oh.
freaking space rifle. LJUTIC, I think, and it had an
It's probably
electronic
on the
trigger.
band list.
Yeah, I'm almost certain it's on the band list. It's way too fun. It honestly looks like something the sand people would be carrying, but
Yeah.
it had an electronic trigger that was absolutely, apparently quite good. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. I see Miles. Absolutely, man. Head hurts
Yeah.
after 100 rounds of 50 cal. Dude,
Yeah.
like no joke, the micro TBIs, traumatic brain injuries, you know as much as I do, man. Like, I encourage everyone who shoots near or shoots a rifle with a muzzle brake to please put something to the right and left of your muzzle brake so that the blast is caught by that.
Right.
We know it's happening for sure. There were two soldiers, two operators who developed MS within a month of each other. And after a lot of medical investigation, they hired the same doctor who did the concussion survey for the NFL. And he found the muzzle blast from a 50 and the recoil of a 50 was to your brain, not the rest of your body, but to your brain, was equivalent to getting tackled by an NFL linebacker.
No kidding.
And Miles was talking about 100 rounds.
Right.
There's a reason we can't remember the last time we shot a 50.
Yeah.
You know, like seriously. So if you're looking into the gills of someone's muzzle brake, you are looking right into a blast. And like hearing loss, it's no, I can't get the word. See, it builds up with time, right?
Sure it does.
So please,
that tinnitus is a
Yep.
real bastard, man.
Yep.
I know.
There is a company that I bought a couple of their products. They're available through the Calgary Shooting Centers, called Infinite Product Solutions.
Okay.
And what they have, it honest to God looks like a suppressor tube, but the front is open. And it's a blast deflector, much like a Surefire Warden or a Noveske Hog or whatever they are.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's designed for multiple calibers. And if for no other reason than directing the blast away from my people to my left and my right, I bought two of them, and I think I've got a third one here already. I'm going to be trying them out just to reduce that muzzle blast injury. So
yeah, we do get a lot of it, don't we? Especially when we're static, like in your classes or like out at my range. You know, you get lined up side by side, and especially if there's a small area, well, you're tucked in tight to one another, and somebody's got one of those little bastards or whatever, and they're just a
oh my god,
thing. And
yeah,
there's a reason they named it that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and others. I've shot some 50 myself and been around some, and you just cannot get far enough away from those damn things.
It's just another reason to have suppressors. It just is.
It sure is. Well, there was that one suppressor that I saw, and I think somebody else had mentioned it in the chat here. There was a 50 cal suppressor on display there at Shot, and the stinking thing it had to be 2 feet long.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was fairly small diameter. I'll bet you it was
they're usually about
1 3/4 or something like that. Right. The ones that I've seen are
usually 3 to 4 inches and 1.5, 2 feet long. Big gun, big suppressor.
But right. Exactly right. Yeah. So that's good. I don't know. We've got enough fight in this country that whole suppressor thing. You can squawk as much as you want about health benefits or whatever.
Yeah, it's enough common sense out of you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. The other one I wanted to mention, the other cool company, and I saw them. I didn't have any information on them. I went there, and I'm super glad I did. I'm going to be ordering one of each of their products. It's called Calypso Instruments.
Okay.
And what they've come up with, you can. I think I just saw one somewhere on your desk or something, but. You know, you can take your Kestrel and put it in a weather vane. It spins around. You can Bluetooth it, right? What they've come up with is an ultrasonic wind detector, and it's about the size of this microphone cover, and it looks like a mushroom. And it'll Bluetooth to about 50 meters, I think.
Okay.
And then another company, Wind Meter. I'll pull it up here. Wind Meter. What they've done is they've taken that mushroom and they've put it onto a UHF radio pack. So you can take that mushroom, you can put it up out to a mile away, and you get real-time constant feed on your phone, on your app.
Right.
I've looked into multiple, and maybe if somebody knows this, I'd love to know. I've looked at all kinds of weather meters for sailing and agriculture and industry, but they only send the wind data every 15 seconds, which is not often enough. This Calypso Instruments wind meter and the associated long range one, they do it in real time and it's continuous.
Interesting.
So the intent with this is not that I can operationally shoot with it in competition or whatever. The intent is I'm going to put this thing downrange near a tree and some grass, and I'll tell my students, okay, scope that grass and tree. Notice this, notice that. Look how the wind is moving. See it? Well, look at your phone. That's the real time. What do you think that is? 5 meters per second? Oh, look, it's 3 meters. Okay, and that constant practice is what's gonna make you a human wind meter. So that's the intent. We're maybe going to put one right above, if you shoot indoors, like our shooting shacks, you can't always feel the wind that's around you. So I'll put this thing up nearby the shooting shed, and we'll be able to get real time data on what the wind's actually doing at the muzzle.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, so Calypso Instruments is somebody I'll be working with.
Good deal. Excellent. Boone has a question. Are either of you guys going to the Precision Rifle Expo next year? And that's that one in Texas, isn't it?
Texas or Florida? I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either.
I
have it in my mind that it was Texas, but right now it's a little bit hard to tell. I'm not even sure what time of year it's in, but I'm not sure.
It's a long drive. It's a little longer drive, man.
I was going to say, I don't know that we'll be driving it.
Yeah, no, I probably won't be, but if Boone wants to buy a ticket down there, I'd definitely come with.
I'd oblige for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, good stuff, Ben. We should probably start wrapping things up. Any last comments, any advice, anything like that?
Take somebody shooting this year.
Yeah.
Take your friend. Take them out there, show them a good time, get them interested in the sport.
Right.
And the last area I really looked at was simulators. There are a number of simulators available now. I'm surprised how many there are, starting at about $70 up to the excellent Mantis that's around the $300 mark.
Right.
And the simulators or training devices, some of them are simulators that are meant for dry firing, and things like the Mantis are meant for live and dry. The analytical capabilities, particularly when you're training with them dry, it allows us to train almost to the same level, virtually the same level minus recoil.
Yep.
And let's face it, with the price of ammo and even gas to get to the range, we should never be doing something on the range for the first time. We should never be doing something that we haven't practiced multiple times in simulation. And there's a number of devices. Again, if you drop me an email, cr64.com, I'll give you the links. For a cost of a couple boxes of ammo, you can train in your home, because we're not always going to get to the range as much as we like. So look into simulations, look into training.
Yensy's nipping at your heels already.
Yes, absolutely, man. We got to talk about getting Emil up. And even if we don't manage to kidnap him, we'll get out and absolutely. I'll commit to getting out there at least once this year for sure.
You betcha. You bet. So for us, we made a lot of really good connections down at SHOT Show this year, and we're queuing up a lot of really interesting stuff. So watch for that. We have some training type stuff. We have some, of course, tests and review of several different pieces of equipment that please watch out for on our usual YouTube channel.
Excellent.
And it should shape up to be a very busy, very exciting year for us. So
same, man. I look forward to it. Thank you thanks for having me on today, and thank you for doing what you're doing. I know it's a ton of work, and it makes a difference, man.
Oh, it's good. It's amazing the people you meet, and the the reinforcement in some of the relationships you already have.
You bet.
Man, we've got a good herd.
Hell yeah.
Honest to God.
It's only going to get better.
All right, folks, please check us out at www.facebook.com/BS podcast. Let us know how we're doing. Send us a like, send us questions, whatever you want. You can also email us at info@bspodcast.ca. And again, I want to thank all of our sponsors. We have Shane and Steve with EN Precision Rifles, Miles, Carey, and Kathy with Call Sign 66, Duncan and Rob with Both Action Coffee, Phil Odell at Odell Engineering, Doug and Nisa with March Scopes Canada, Vanya and Carly with Apex Optics, Oscar with Ribstone Gunsmithing, and I want to send a special shout out again to Rifles Refined. Owen at Rifles Refined, he's the guy that built my stock for my ELR rifle. Does amazing woodwork, grips and stocks and accessories and everything else. It's just, I don't know how he does it. I don't have the patience to do anything nearly that fine, but check him out, Rifles Refined. That about does it for us.
Excellent.
Thanks Ben, so much.
Great opportunity.
Awesome.
Talk
All
to you
right,
soon,
folks. I got to queue up.
Take care.
I usually have another guy here to hit the buttons. All right, folks.
Because I have a shotgun and rifle that I use for, and 22 gauge that I use for ptarmigan, moose, and black bear.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You're listening to your weekly dose of BS. Ballistically Speaking. The Ballistically Speaking Podcast.